We're back here on YAFFEE Live. This is the Talk Monster, Talk Radio 102.3. It's also Thursday. That means we talk more Tennessee news and politics with Brandon Lewis. He is founder and contributor of the Tennessee Conservative, and you can read that every day at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, how are you today, sir?
I am doing fantastic. I'm glad to be here. Sorry I missed you last week.
Yeah, where'd you go? What happened?
Well,
No, it's good. You're a busy guy. I know.
I brought 100 small business owners for 4 days to Chattanooga, Tennessee, for our Painting Profit Summit. A lot of folks think that I earn income out of running the Tennessee Conservative. I don't. I do it as a volunteer. And so, in order to pay the bills at Casa de Lewis, I have to go out and earn my keep doing my profession of helping folks increase their profits and reduce their stress in their business. So that's where I was.
Yeah, I think you told me one of the first times I met you is it's you see the Tennessee Conservative as your civic duty kind of thing. That's just sort of you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it to better the state. So there you
Well,
go.
it lets you tell the truth when nobody gives you a dollar. It's like, well, if
Right.
I don't want to say it or do it, or if I don't think it's true, I don't have to. So it's one of the things that makes our publication unique in the state.
All right. So let's go over some of the stories here you have this week on your site. The first one I want to talk about. I mean, illegal immigration has been a big issue in the legislature this session. It seems like. And it says here over 10% of illegal alien crimes in Tennessee are violent offenses. Now, some people might say, well, 10%, that's not that much. But when you look at the raw numbers, it's a lot. And it's 10% that shouldn't be happening at all when you think about it.
Well, I would say that the 41 Tennesseans who died that are in this
Yeah.
10% would probably beg to differ, in the families and the loved ones that mourn their losses. Essentially, this is the reason we even have this data is because they passed a law last year that required the law agencies to report this, and they categorized 169 different types of offense categories. And so there were over 21,648 charges. 2,183 were violent, and there are 119 countries that these individuals came from. Crimes against minors, we had 112, and it included 61 charges with a range of other offenses that were in that area, and that's everything from rape, sexual exploitation, trafficking, all those kinds of things. And it's kind of weird because these agencies were required to complete these forms by hand, and I don't know, but they were probably sent up to Nashville in a courier pigeon's foot, if I had to guess. And only about 40% of the cases could be tracked through the actual courts. But as long as we can get the data, it's important. And so, for individuals who think that these offenses that folks are being pulled over for are just traffic stops, they're not. And further, we don't have the categorization just yet of things like home invasions and things of that nature, and drug dealing and things that are really more harmful to our society than just simple traffic offenses.
Yeah, but as you said, I mean, 41 Tennesseans died due to either criminal homicide, first degree murder, second degree murder, or vehicular homicide committed by illegal aliens. That's a pretty big number. They say it's only 10% of alien crimes are violent, but 41, that's a lot more than I would have guessed, probably.
Well, you look at this massive ruckus up in Minnesota, specifically with the individual that ran over the ICE agent. I mean, I looked at the two different videos there. I mean, you can't plow into a law enforcement vehicle or a law enforcement officer with your vehicle. And that gentleman went to the hospital. He had actually been ran over once before in a similar fashion, was hospitalized. And so, these are things that it's always amazes me what the media seizes on. Like you've not seen any reports hardly in Tennessee media from the corporate media about these 41 people, and there's no huge uproar in our
That's true.
state. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you would think that if this is the case, that the media storm should be 41 times larger. Just in our state over this stuff, but the media chases after what they think that the left wants to hear and see, and so much of this just goes unreported.
Yeah, that's an excellent point because the media is obsessed with Renee Good, Alex Preddy, who were killed by ICE agents or Border Patrol there in Minnesota and Minneapolis, and everyone agrees it's a tragedy. But I know Trump was out there saying, Laken Riley was a nurse too. That's someone who was killed by an illegal immigrant. And now we're talking about 41 people in Tennessee killed by illegal immigrants. So they're not talking about that. And it shows, oh, this is why maybe ICE enforcement is necessary to begin with. Is the whole point. We're trying to save lives and also save the country.
I agree.
So we have a lot more to get to that's going on in the General Assembly, as you can imagine. I did see this as well, that there is a bill challenging same-sex marriage that has passed the Tennessee House. Now, I'm guessing this is more of like to get a challenge in the Supreme Court. Again, they think for some reason maybe in the future they could win a case, becomes law, then it gets challenged in the court.
Yeah, and Gino Bolso is very smart. He doesn't just think about this legislation at a state level. He looks at, what's going to happen ultimately in the legal maneuvering. And so the bill basically says that individuals and organizations cannot be compelled to recognize same-sex marriages, and it passed 5-1 along party lines. And it also says that the court cannot discipline, sanction, threaten, or threaten to discipline or sanction any person who declines to celebrate or officiate a marriage or a commitment ceremony. So it's basically just saying, hey, we don't necessarily agree with this, and we know in the Constitution that state law trumps federal law. Often our law, not often, I mean, I would say completely, our lawmakers have forgotten it and turned it upside down. And so I'm glad to see Gino pushing that through, and we'll see. I'm sure it will be challenged, and we'll have to just watch how that plays out.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like it's not saying that it's going to get rid of same-sex marriage completely in the state. It's basically protecting private organizations and churches from having to recognize it, is what you're saying.
As far as I understand the bill, and so it's a good step forward, and I'm glad that Gino brought it for sure.
Well, and the main reason I bring that up, it just seems unlikely that even in Tennessee, even though we're a very Republican state, that they would pass something that just completely gets rid of same-sex marriage in the state right now. I don't really see that happening. But a bill like this, where it's more focused on protecting churches and private organizations, I would guess has a better chance. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it does. And typically, I mean, as things go in committee, they tend to go on the floor, with the exception of you never know what's going to happen when you hit the Senate. We have a much less conservative Senate in Tennessee than a House, and
Mhm.
that it's been that way for the last 5, 6 years. And according to everybody else, it's been that way for a long time. And so that's why these state Senate races, every time we get somebody in there that's more conservative, that will stand with their districts instead of, bow to leadership with Randy McNally or the special interest. You really need to focus on those state races and, throw some money toward the candidates that are, willing to run those races.
Speaking with Brandon Lewis, he's the founder of the Tennessee Conservative. We're going over some of the top stories on his website. You can always read it at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. I was talking about this a little bit earlier. There's an effort to try to eliminate the grocery tax in Tennessee. Now, other states have gotten rid of it. Florida, Georgia. Actually, I don't. Does Georgia have it? I'm not sure. I know Florida and Alabama is lowering it, but Tennessee still has it, and there was a push to do this. But I guess the bill is likely dead because some are worried about the sizable. That's what they're saying. Sizable fiscal impact. What do you think?
Yeah, this is brought by Todd Warner, who has also been very conservative. He's never afraid to be outspoken for his district, even though when you do that in the House, they essentially backbench you. Your bills don't make it very far. And this bill being killed is probably a combination of leadership, putting Mr. Warner in timeout, along with the fact that it does blow a huge hole in the budget. However, Bill Lee and his voucher push is essentially going to eat up all the discretionary options in the budget when we start looking at that. So things like this that are certainly more conservative based upon a fiscal standpoint than the voucher bill is taking a back seat because it is this voucher bill is certainly Bill Lee's pet project this time around.
Oh yeah, this is one of those issues we disagree on a little bit because you have been kind of against all of this. Where I mean, I want this in Georgia where I live. I want school choice.
Well, I'm not against it. What I'm against is this. They're expanding it, which I'm all for. There's a few things I don't like about it. I think the details matter. Number one is
Yeah,
when you take people's money away and then you give it back and you attach a bunch of strings, like I mean, why not just let people keep their money to begin with and do with it what they want? Or if you're going to give people their taxpayer money back, don't put the strings on it. But
yeah,
it's he's looking for spending $303 million. But the big issue is it's $7,575 per student, which is fine. But the
hmm,
problem is, Yaffee, and the reason, I mean, you say that you're for it, but here's the thing that I think we're not thinking about. They're still giving the schools that these kids are exiting
yeah,
$5,779. So it means we are spending $13,354 to give away a
yeah.
$7,575 scholarship. It is insane. It's fiscally irresponsible to pay for a student twice. And at what rate we're going to get these kids out? I mean, or at some point, if this continues, do we just have empty schools that have, 10% of the kids they used to in the same budget as if 100% of them were there? I mean, that's what would happen if this kept going. And it was mainly to keep the teachers' unions quiet. I'm not quite sure what happens with the 2,635 we get from federal. I don't know if that federal money is still flowing through to those schools or if
Mhm.
it goes away. That's a detail I'm not completely questioning on. So, I mean, I would feel a lot better about this bill if it weren't just good for the few that can get it, but also was just financially responsible. And this 40,000 private school vouchers in the universal school choice bill gets us up to about 4% of students in Tennessee, and that's not universal.
So it sounds like, let's say they could fix some of those problems. Let's say they could fix, like, okay, we're not going to give any school. So once that public school loses the child, they don't get any of that funding. It sounds like you would probably be more in favor of it, that it's just kind of
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah. I would be a lot more in favor of it. Another hiccup that I do not like, and I never have, I don't, it doesn't make any sense to me, okay? So the Tennessee Department of Education has done such a lousy job
hmm,
that we now have to pay $13,354 to get a kid a $7,575 scholarship. Now we're going to put the same organization that can't do it with 100% of its focus. We're going to give them oversight over many aspects of what's going to happen in these schools that they're going to. And, it would almost be like if you had a station manager there at 1023 and they had ran the station into the ground and then they had given you a grant to build another station, and then they hired the old station manager to manage the new station. Like, what would be the point of that? Like, you can't keep bad management and leadership in place and move somebody or move an organization or move a child because that same process is just going to follow them. And ultimately, I'll worry that it will corrupt the education options that we have available for kids that want to leave government schools. So those two aspects, government control and just the wastefulness of it, are the two things I've been opposed to. And you'll notice as you receive postcards, if you're in Tennessee, about this very issue, they never mention any of this stuff. Never. It sounds like everybody's going to get it. We're saving money and it's going to be great. If they were truthful and transparent with people about the fine print, I would feel a lot better about these bills.
so we only got about a minute left, but I do want to ask you, what were some of the conditions that they're putting on the private schools? If
Well, they
you,
had they had testing and different things of that nature, and then there were clauses in the legislation. It's been a while since I actually read the code,
yeah,
and it's basically like, and anything else that they ever decide to do. And you know as well as I do that they do not take away regulation; they tend to add it. And just like this cigar bill that they're bringing out, where they're trying to license, and like if Burns Tobacconist wants to ship you cigars up to Signal Mountain, they can't do it without a license, and it's got to be policed by this and that. Rush Limbaugh would be rolling over in his grave, a great
yeah.
cigar enthusiast, and just stuff like this. I mean, they
I know
just
some cigar
continue to.
enthusiasts. They're not very happy about it for sure.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It's just that's what I would like to see is let's if we're going to get them out of the schools, let's actually save some money, and then let's make sure that if they go to a school that the same organization that has made the school so bad that we don't put those same people in charge of where the kid is going.
Brandon Lewis, he's with the Tennessee Conservative. You can read his stuff at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, we're out of time. We could talk about all of these issues for 3 hours, knowing you and me, but you know, I've got so much time. I appreciate you coming on, my friend. We'll talk to you again in the future.
All right, keep up the great work, Yaffee.
All right, we'll be back in a moment here on YAFFEE Live.